The quality of life in the SEAL teams was doing this, and the opportunities on the outside was just doing this. I was never made that my identity as a SEAL. It was my job, and I was good at it. I was passionate, I was all in, but as soon as I wanted to do other things, I walked away. Dirty, why are you good at this? Why are you good at that? I'm not good at this or that. I'm good at learning, and I learned how to learn in the SEAL teams. I'm gonna go make something. I'm gonna go build my life.
Some people wait for opportunity. Others fight for it. Welcome to Tactical Wealth, the show where discipline, service, and real-world experience become pathways to financial power. I'm your host, Kaj Larson. On each episode, we bring you the stories and the wisdom of those who have gone from boots on the ground to successful careers, from military to wealth, and how they've done it so you can apply those insights to your own mission and your own life. This is Tactical Wealth, from military to money. Welcome back to another episode of Tactical Wealth from the original Sin. What do we call this place? Like Sin City?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Right? This is Sin City, but we are talking about completely wholesome things today. Joining me today, super excited. I know you'll be shocked to hear another frogman on the podcast, but this is a very close personal friend of mine, Daniel Corbett. The author of American Mercenary. He was a SEAL. He joined the Navy in 2002. Is that right?
Yeah. That's correct.
Right. And you served till 2012. So you did
active duty.
Active duty. 10 years active duty. This is one of the most wild and circuitous stories, which you'll probably know. There are books. There's all kinds of content out there about Dan. But the part of Dan that is probably lesser known in the public eye is that he is a really interesting serial entrepreneur, an incredibly creative mind who's constantly building businesses. So, Dan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, buddy.
Good to have you.
Yeah, I'm so happy we linked up here.
I know. And it's funny, people probably think we're friends from the SEAL teams, but we didn't really know each other in the SEAL teams. We really became friends afterwards, talking about how do we leverage these skills, right?
Yep.
To do the next great thing and to build a business. And I think that was really the genesis of our friendship.
Yeah, and then it really took a turn for the better when I found out like you did an app and you had an exit. And I'm like, oh, that's one of my ventures. I'm like really gung ho about. Like, give me all your knowledge. Like, okay, help me.
Yeah. Okay, and then after we had exhausted my knowledge after 5 minutes, then we went on to talking about the next topic. So, no, awesome. Stoked to have you. Just for people who don't know you, who haven't read the book, American Mercenary, which is awesome, I will pay you like, at the risk of fluffing you, I'll pay you a compliment here. I gave your book to my dad, loved it, right? For some reason, my sister, who's probably like not the typical reader of your life story, of your trajectory, picked it up, also loved it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Calling me about it.
That's
and my
cool.
sister's like an emergency room physician, like an extraordinary person, but like I just wouldn't have expected the content to resonate with her.
That's cool. It means a lot because the way we wrote it wasn't, chest thumping. I'm so cool. I did this. I did that. It was more of like a human experience mixed with almost a true crime feel. And the biggest compliment I got with the publisher when we did it, they said, this reads like a fiction crime book, and it's nonfiction. That's insane. And I think the human aspect and me just being completely honest and real resonates not only with the bro vets, which you're going to read anyways, but across both genders and everyone else in between. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I have a single data point, but proof positive.
I'll take it.
The book is bigger than bro culture.
Thank you.
Yeah. Although there's plenty of bang bang in there.
Yeah.
I mean, a decade in the SEAL teams, including Red Squadron at SEAL Team 6. So you started. Tell me where you come from. Like, how'd you get into the military in the first place?
High school, small Northern California town. Super, yeah. Super athlete, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I never thought of it because like high school wasn't bad for me. Like it was awesome. So at 16, I thought that would just be life, and I don't come from a family of academia. Like, oh, you're gonna go to Brown like grandpa. Like there was none of that. So I was like, God, what am I gonna do? And I was in the gifted after school programs, but I didn't want to hang out with them. They were just kind of like, gifted after school type people. And I was an athlete. I hang out with them and they were just kind of like dumb jobs.
Too jockey, yeah.
I mean, obviously there's outliers in every community, And those are gross generalizations, but that was kind of like, I'm like, man, where do I fit in? And someone showed me, I think it's called the silent option, like the old VHS tape. And they're interviewing one of the guys and they said, hey, what makes you SEALs so good? And the guy said, it's not that we're that good, it's just everyone else sucks. And I'm like, that's clever, these guys are fit. And I joined in 2001, delayed entry, had mom and dad sign as an insurance policy to not get sucked into a senior trip and think about junior college or whatever. So graduated, boom, 18, straight to the Navy.
Nice. And what budget class were you?
244.
Nice. Okay, so you're just after me. So we're essentially the same generation of frogmen. Okay, so you're going through 2002, and your first SEAL team was West
5.
Coast. Yeah. You're at 5 on the West Coast, and then eventually you screened and you went over to SEAL Team 6.
Yep.
And how was that experience for you?
You know, they were both awesome. I got really lucky with my timing, even at 5. My first deployment was summer of 05, Ramadi. So I was like, it was good. And then SEAL Team 6 was what I felt like the natural progression. And it was definitely, as a young man, it was very eye-opening, like how professional and mature you had to be just to even be there on a daily basis. It was awesome. It was a lot. But I mean, I loved my whole career, so it was great.
Yeah, and what made you decide to transition out of SEAL teams?
The biggest thing is when I went to the career counselor office, when I'd already left SEAL Team 6 as an instructor, and I'm like, I think I'm up for this like $85K re-enlistment. And I went in and she's like, nope. I'm like, what do you mean no? You did a thing that was a STAR program and you got capped, but you didn't dissolve it in time because you were on deployment. I'm like, well, I guess I'm getting out. And it was easy to stay in because the quality of life before in the SEAL teams was way up here. And it didn't matter what the opportunities were on the outside because it was so good. But for me personally, the politics and whatever you want to call it, the quality of life in the SEAL teams was doing this, and the opportunities on the outside was just doing this. And it just was a pure business decision.
Yeah, no, it's, and there's also, I always say this to guys at the same time, while obviously like we both believe in service, there is a point of diminishing return, right? There's no difference from an outside perspective of having spent a decade in the SEAL teams or having spent 3 decades in the SEAL teams. Like,
true.
You were SEAL Team 6. If you're going to get out and do other things, it's better to do that sooner because the path to entrepreneurship is hard, right? It's not an instant path.
And not only that, if you think you have more to offer yourself than what you're currently doing, I think there's some guys out there that are like, I'm a SEAL, that's all I'll ever be, and I'm going to stay in here till they make me leave. Okay, good for you. I knew I had more to give myself, which sounds crazy coming from, the top place in the world to be as an operator. Me like, no, I'm going to do other things.
Yeah.
And I think, going in, we can get into it later, but like that's what helped me transition and be as successful as I am because I was never made that my identity as a SEAL. It was my job and I was good at it. I was passionate, I was all in. But as soon as I wanted to do other things, I walked away.
Yeah, we'll get into it in like more granular detail, but I completely 100% concur with the thesis that if the identity that you carry into the civilian world is that like, I'm a SEAL or whatever, and you don't evolve that identity, it will create a glass ceiling for how successful you can be, right? Because we all have to like adapt and grow. You have to be on this like lifelong quest for learning, and like the private sector environment, it thanks you for being a SEAL, but it doesn't reward you for being
Make me an Excel spreadsheet with functions. Cool, you're a SEAL. And not only that, for your opportunities on the outside, if you keep at it and only identify as that, you get some form of like late life arrested development and growth. Yeah, right? Like this is where I'm at, and so I'll ever be.
Yeah. And there are just like it's a different battlefield, it's a different landscape, and so you have to continue to like evolve both like cognitively, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally in order to be successful in this different terrain. That's all. Like it's not bad. And I think both you and I have seen guys who are like so rigid in their core identity of having done this incredible rock star thing, which we did, right? But then not being able to evolve that doesn't translate into success in the next stage. So let's talk about the next stage. You didn't jump right into entrepreneurship.
No.
What'd you do when you got out?
When I got out, and this is the birth of the book, I went private for myself, and I was doing stuff all over the world.
Yeah. Private contracting.
Yeah.
Right? Essentially what you were doing as a team guy, but making more money as a 10.
Yes, and kind of really hanging it out there.
Yeah. With
But
less.
Yeah, but I liked it. I like it. It was fun. It was challenging. Did that. That kind of came to a natural ending point, and then my buddy had this big private wealth company, and I did that for a couple months, but it was a house of cards. It went to nothing. And then one day I was cleaning out my storage unit, and I saw some shot timers and a bunch of ammo I had and my guns, and I said, maybe I can do something with that.
Yeah. And that's when you started your first venture.
Yep.
Okay, so for people who don't know, you were doing PMC work, which a lot of people call mercenary work, right? You get rolled up in Serbia. You spent a year in Serbian prison, is that right? Or?
Year and a half, 18 months.
18 long months.
Well, and I stood court in Serbia.
Yeah.
Was acquitted.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you pick up Serbian while you were in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know 2 words in Serbian. I don't know if I ever told you this. Lopta, which means ball, and pichka, which...
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. Even in Serbian prison, you pick that one up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I played water polo. And they're all
okay, yeah.
Polo, right? So that's what I learned. Okay, so you get out, right? You've had this like wild, topsy-turvy career. Mm-hmm. Now you decide you want to start your own venture, and you looked at like the tools that were like right in front of you and decided, what'd you decide?
Because at this point, I'm already in Arizona. Mm-hmm. I'm in Scottsdale, pretty fluent and pretty red. So we have this fluent red area. And I was like, I could do private shooting lessons. All right. I know how to shoot. I know how to teach. And that's when I started the Sentient Shooting Group, kind of out of necessity, because I didn't really have a job. And, like we just talked about, no one gives it, like, cool, you're at SEAL Team 6. What can you do to make my company money that'll justify whatever paycheck you're asking for? I said, I don't want a boss. So I started my shooting company, and just like any venture, unless you're super lucky unicorn, first 2 years pretty slow, and then just gathering momentum.
Yeah, it's funny, and I was always curious why you named it Sentient, because one of the things one of the ways I always describe you to people who don't know you or who've only read your book or whatever, on the surface, could be very easy that you're like a knuckle dragging, 800-pound gorilla, kind of frogman. But you're actually like incredibly cerebral. Like you're always thinking, you're always reading, you're always doing things that are kind of like outside the box of what people would expect. And I was curious if that was the genesis of the name.
Yeah, so I wanted to do Sentient because there's too many people that are just out there shooting. And I want people to know why we're shooting each bullet for each iteration, for each drill. I want them to be aware of it, sentient of it.
Yeah.
So there's a purpose behind everything we do on the range.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Good. And so, and how was that as your first venture?
I think I was just, I'm cut out for it, so I liked it. I liked learning how to build a website or when to hire someone, how to market it, how to price point, because it's like, guys are like, oh, you're SEAL Team 6, you can charge 50 grand for the day. I'm like, sure, no you can't. It doesn't matter.
You can charge what the market bears.
Exactly, so like finding the price point. I was going to each gun store in Arizona in a 50-mile radius with a little flyer printed out. Like just straight up grassroots, damn near knocking on doors. Hey, can I hang up this flyer here with the QR code? Sure.
And how would you characterize that business now? It's kind of like perpetually running, right? You continue to do it. You've had success.
Yeah.
You've been able to build that into a sort of self-sustaining.
Yeah, I have an ongoing relationship with the SWAT team in California. I've done some stuff with the Border Patrol. I have return clients, high net worth, all in Arizona. It's actually as scalable as I want it to be. I just have so many other ventures going on that I'm like, I'm really particular on who I even take to the range now. And it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. And the skills that translated from the military to this specific business are quite obvious, right? Like obviously you know how to shoot, you know how to instruct, right? You know how to be a range safety officer. What were the hard parts of the business for you? The things the military didn't prepare you for?
Just budgeting, right? I'm like, I'll just provide all the ammo. And then you start looking at ammo prices and realizing how much you shoot when you have 1 versus 2 versus 3 versus 4 students on the range. And you go, oh, I'm making like $50. Right? Like, okay, so learning how to budget and actually not just thinking, oh, this paper target's whatever, it's like $5, the staple gun, it adds up. And you need to know what your actual ROI is per class, per evolution, per hour. So that was the biggest learning curve.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And okay, you built that business, and then what part of you, what inner part of you said, like, okay, this is great, but now I have like other aspirations. Yeah. Like I have another mountain I want to climb. Like, how'd that happen?
So about year 1.5 in is when I got a call from my agent, who's now at William Morris Endeavors. And he's like, hey, I heard your story. Do you want to do a book? And I was like, sure. I mean, I think I said no the first time because I was still kind of playing with the idea of still being a mercenary. And then he called again and I said, let's do it. So I got to learn like the book business world. It's its own business. It's its own animal with its own rules and everything. So I learned that. And I've always been like creative. And I always loved creative writing in high school and shit. So it was fun doing the book. And then one day I was sitting looking at, my shooting business. I said, it's cool to be the brand, but you cannot scale. I can't be in 2 places at once, right? And even if you build a cadre and a team around you and you're like, hey, this guy is actually better than me, like but you wrote the book, you have the followers, we want to train with you. So like, okay, this isn't really scalable. I can put food on the table, but I can't scale it. And in 2011, I had a crazy idea for an app. And I recruited my co-founder. And I said, hey, can you do it? And 2, are you willing to do it? I have no money. He's like, I'm in. That was in 2012. And when I was locked up for 18 months, I read Branson's books. I read Total Recall by Arnold Schwarzenegger, great book. And I'm like, I'm going to call up Paul, my developer, co-founder. I said, we're going to get this thing done. We're taking it to market, win, lose, or draw. I don't care. We're doing it. And we've been grinding on my latest venture, my app, for like the last 2 years, and we're making headway.
And what's the core conceit of the app?
So the app was born out of me either playing chess on chess.com on my phone and not enjoying myself because chess is a very fickle mistress. It could like consume you and steam's coming out of your ears. Or I was watching people make epoxy wood tables for like 5 hours. I'm like, okay, there needs to be something in between I could do on my phone that isn't making me, I'm losing IQ by doing it, or I'm like being frustrated. And it all started with me texting a friend, and we'd leave open-ended sentences and he'd finish them and I'd add. I said, I'm gonna make this an app. So the app's called Epic Storytime, and all it is, it's a social gaming app. You invite up to three other friends. We have AI auto prompt the title of the story, and you each get 2 rounds of 20 words each. And it really turns into a burn session, like someone just gets completely roasted. We got a couple gaming mechanics in there and more to come. We got secret words, so you'll get a secret word and you got to sneak it in there, and I get points if I guess it, you get points if no one guesses it. And then we have a who's who setting where I know it's us 4, but when you write, it's green. When Jeff writes, it's blue. When I write, it's pink, whatever. And you have to try to guess who wrote what. Like, oh, that had to be Jeff. And you're like, oh no, that was actually me. And so we're playing with a bunch of different mechanics.
And what do you call it?
Epic Storytime.
Epic Storytime.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, in entrepreneurship, I often frame entrepreneurship as a scientific process, right? And like the scientific method, you start off by identifying a problem in the world. What problem are you trying to solve for with your new venture?
Problem I'm trying to solve, not separately, market share. Yeah. It's huge. Yeah. But the problem is getting people off of the mind-numbing apps and doing something that's fun where you have to be creative. And that's why we started implementing AI auto prompts for people who aren't that, like, write a story about what? I'm like, dude, anything you want. It's endless. But some people aren't that creative. So we have an option to have AI auto prompt the title and the genre. So It could be like a really scary title, but it's a comedy. So you're like, oh, that's fun. And you can start writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems to me also there's this great book. I forget the title of it, but it's this. It might be Jonathan Haidt, but it's essentially this guy wrote this thing called like everything you think is bad is good for you, right? And you know how every generation like laments like new technology, like oh these kids, like,
tablets and the phones,
when TV came out, or whatever. But this book posits that like imagine what would happen if reading was if like gaming was invented prior to reading, right? Like reading was the second invention, right? You would have all of these parents lamenting like, oh, my child, just does this little solo activity that doesn't interact with any other children, and they're like they're obsessed with this.
That's
like,
a crazy thought.
It's a crazy thought experiment, right? And instead gaming, right, which often gets a bad name, like people are like gamers or whatever. If you think of it as this like hyper-connected creative process among a socialized group of peers, and all of the data tells us that like young children are like, and the next generation are having trouble with like socialization and stuff
especially
like that.
when everyone had to go to school from home.
Right. So it's almost like, okay, am I gonna like, be a salmon spawning upstream and like try and like create Ladidic children and take technology completely away from them? Or am I going to lean into it with technology that is like engaging your brain in a more cognitive,
and just,
but dare I say it, in a more sentient way?
Hey, yeah, and just with some left and right boundaries, right? When it gets too much, or some like firewalls here and there where you need to put, why not?
And also, I think there's a lot of empiricism, a lot of data around play, especially in early childhood development, at play as like a process for cognitive development for children.
That learning game theory, these are the rules, these are my team, this is my goal.
Yeah, and the part that's funny for me, what's so amazing is like, here's you with like, among a group of wild men, the SEAL teams, your story is perhaps one of the wildest, right? But yet here you are like building like a creative gaming app. Like it seems like an ill fit.
I know, and I hear that a lot, and it's never bad. People love it.
Okay.
But it's funny because it is like a little bit hard to believe, and I tell people, they go, "Oh, you're a Navy SEAL. It's so cool. It opens all the doors." I'm like, yes, having my background does open doors for me, but you know what I have to do as soon as I walk in? As soon as I walk in that room, I get painted into a corner. Yeah. Every gun, all you care is guns. Gun, fitness, punch things, and it's
and
like,
that is true. You are all those things.
Yeah.
You do know every
I do all those things.
Yeah.
But I have to really fight my way out and be like, I have a business. Oh, what is it? A knife company or whatever? They're gonna already think. So it's cool that I get to have those doors open because of what I've achieved in the SEAL teams. But at the same time, now I have to fight my way out of the corner they get put in to just prove that I know I'm doing something totally different. Forget all that.
And now that you've embarked on this new venture, you have to do all the things. You have to like raise money, like, manage a tech team. You're offshoring the tech. No, you're coding some of it yourself, right?
Yeah. UI.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're having to teach yourself code, right? You're doing this, like all of the difficult things of building a, B2C facing, like consumer facing company, right? So not just the marketing, but the tech, all the shit, raising money. What are the biggest challenges for you of this new venture in tech entrepreneurship?
Just the learning curve. And I trust my developer wholeheartedly. But I'm like, can we just add a timer? Okay. And I'm having him build, I want there be 1 minute per turn, 1 hour per turn. And it's like, let me learn how to do this. I'm like, just type it in ChatGPT and it'll tell you. He's like, that's not how this works. So expectation management. And so I'm like, I'm going to learn. I'm going to download every software program I can, every AI tool I can, and try to teach myself. And the more I learn, the more I have more respect for my developer and co-founder. I think, just getting to that world, and he's telling me about WebSockets and this and that, and I'm like, what? So just learning a new language.
Yeah, also at a time, I think the other problem, when I was building my tech company, right, like you tend to think in sort of static moments in time, right? But the truth is entrepreneurship is more like surfing. The medium itself is moving, right? So like the velocity of change that's happening right now in tech, and like, where the puck is going, even in terms of fundraising, right? Like there was a moment where what you were doing circa 2012, right? That was the hottest thing to be funded in Silicon Valley. You had Pincus come with Zynga and like all of these places and stuff. I would say now, like the primary emphasis, AI and B2B SaaS is really like sucking up all the oxygen in the room, right? So you have to like surf all of these little microwaves as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay on my project regardless. Yeah. Because I'm passionate about it and I believe in it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's super cool. Okay. So we like to do this little section. Before I do, I just want to wrap. So what's the next phase for the app?
We're going to do a play test with some people from one of the universities in Arizona. Get final feedback because you can't build an app for everyone. Yeah. Right. And the play test is just to see if it's intuitive as we think it is, just the functionality. And then after that, we'll probably be fundraising to build out native apps versus running React Native and spitting out iOS and Android.
Yeah. Well, again, this is not to pimp my own thesis too much, but like in terms of scientific method, I would call this like right center mass target for how people should think about tech development and entrepreneurship. You've had a problem that you saw. You have a hypothesis, you built that hypothesis, you're testing that hypothesis. And where most entrepreneurs fail is that they don't test appropriately or get correct data and feedback from that process. They're so strong and wrong in their idea that they're unwilling to be nimble enough and flexible enough to pivot based on the feedback and the data.
I will not let my ego get in the way of this failing.
Yeah. Awesome. Can't wait to see what's next on it. Okay, we like to do this little section. It's called rapid fire. I call it kind of like shoot steal.
Okay.
Instant feedback. Stream of consciousness, if you will, which makes me nervous.
You.
Best investment you ever made?
My fiance.
Awesome. Dumbest financial mistake you ever made?
My fiance.
Dirty, that is hands down the best double tap answers we've gotten in the entire 3 seasons of doing this. Epic. This one I mean a little more seriously. What do you think the Navy skill that's been most helpful in business is?
Learning how to learn.
Yeah.
Dirty, why are you good at this? Why are you good at that? I'm not good at this or that. I'm good at learning. And I learned how to learn in the SEAL teams. I understand how I acquire new data and information and apply it. And I think knowing what works for you, visual, understanding the psychology behind it or the methodology or the theory behind it, and which when you go into CQC room clearing, as you know, you need to understand why, because they can't show you every single possible angle and room in the whole world. So learning the philosophy behind the why and learning has made me, that's probably the biggest thing I've taken away from being in the SEAL teams.
Yeah, that is super interesting to me. I have noticed that different people learn in different ways. I suspect that you and I are the same. We have to have start with whatever you call it, commander's intent, mission, and purpose, understand where we're going, and then we can sort of build in the micro steps and decisions to get there. That is also my learning style, so that resonates deeply with me.
So learning how to learn.
Yeah, learning how to learn. And what I would also say is, look, especially for you guys at 6, right, I don't think people quite understand the scope and range of mission sets that are required of a tier 1 special operations
dream it up.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, look, even baked in inherent within the acronym, right, sea, air, and land, we have to be masters of these 3 different domains. Not even all special forces units are required to be able to operate in the maritime environment, which adds this layer of complexity. So already every SEAL shoots, every SEAL jumps, every SEAL dives. You have to be near expert level at all 3 of these different mediums. There is a tremendous amount of onboarding of data that comes, whether it's shooting or jumping or diving, that you have to learn.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And if you know a way that's going to streamline that for you, it's just going to be that much easier for you.
Yeah, I know I said shooting steel, and slowed us down. So I'll press the accelerator and pick us back up on pace. Military habit that benefits you in business and in life.
Fitness.
A book that changed your mindset?
Atlas Shrugged.
Nice. How so?
I was a young man when I read it, and I was like, man, there's people doing stuff and there's people not doing stuff, and it's kind of bullshit. And when I read Atlas Shrugged, I was like, oh, I'm not the only one that feels this way. I'm gonna go make something. I'm gonna go build my life. And unfortunately, I read that before Fountainhead, which ruins Fountainhead for you. You should have read Fountainhead, then Atlas Shrugged, but anyways, I digress.
And is there a daily routine that helps you be productive and successful?
My morning runs. I mean, that's my meditation, my ideas for the app. I'll practice my languages. I'll have conversations in different languages in my head. It's just like my Zen area where I kind of get that like flow state, and the ideas just come.
And you do that first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
I echo that. I mean, I have like somewhat of a morning routine, but part of it is defined by fitness, and some of it is defined by what's not included in the routine. Like I won't check email, respond to text messages or whatever until a certain time in the morning, because I had once, like it might be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I got this lodged in my head once that somebody said like, oh, those are all reactive mediums, right? And I like to own the first part of my day as like a proactive medium, right? So if I'm working out or like whatever I'm doing, none of that I'm responding to other people, to pulls on other people. Like I'm defining my own agenda. I'm planning my dive and diving my plan.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? And then later on, of course, like we live in the world, and then like, people need queries and all of that stuff. But yeah, so and I would say almost to the man and woman, the successful entrepreneurs like yourself who have been on this podcast all have some component of physical fitness that helps define their day.
Yeah, and people, you're vain, you work out. 90% of why I work out is for this.
Is cognitive fitness.
That's it.
Keeps the knife sharp.
Yeah,
absolutely. Is there advice that you would give other members of the military if they're thinking about transitioning into entrepreneurship?
Yes. Have the right partner, not only in business, but whoever's next to you, in the room, romantically, whatever. It's really hard to eat top ramen and rice for 2 years when someone's next to you, like, go get a job at Subway. That's not going to help you. Right. That, and drop your ego, take the trash out, and be a new guy again. And I think a lot of guys get hung up on that. They don't want to start over from scratch. I don't want to. But guess what? You're doing something else now. You're not going to start at the top.
You are a new guy.
Yeah. So drop your ego and ask for help. You'll be surprised. People will be surprised how many people will be like, yeah, I'd love to hear what you say. Like we were downstairs earlier. Yeah, let's stay in touch. Easy.
Yeah. So awesome to have you here.
Man.
Thank you for sharing your insights.
Of course.
It's been such an honor to watch your journey.
Thanks, man.
I feel like we've just like scratched the surface on this, because people, I think they can get it from listening to you. Like there's a lot more coming out, right?
Yeah.
American Mercenary is like the very tip of the iceberg.
I hope so.
Yeah. I happen to know you have a bunch of good stuff. Where can people find you? Like, how can they follow along with what you're doing?
Mostly on Instagram. It's at American_Mercenary.
Okay. Which is also the title of the book.
Easy peasy.
I'm assuming is available on Amazon and all.
Or or even just go on my website, which is on my Instagram profile, and just get yourself a signed copy.
Signed copy.
Hey.
Oh, I like that. Great. And can't wait to see what you're cooking up next. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, buddy.
Always good to have you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks for locking in with us today. Shout out to Siebert.Valor and Siebert Financial for supporting our journey. We'll be back next week with another powerhouse conversation. More founders, more builders, and leaders who are playing offense in life and in business. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel for exclusive content and extended cuts of your favorite episodes. Until next week, stay tactical, stay driven.